Today we are doing section 8.3. It's actually a fairly easy section. I'm sure it's a topic that you've seen many times before. We are going to talk about the area of squares and rectangles. So our objective is to find the area of squares and rectangles. Any questions before we get going on this? All right, here's pretty much everything you need to know for today. The first one's the definition of area. Area is the amount of surface covered by a figure. So I always like to think of area as like if you were going to paint the figure, like how much area would you be painting? Like how much surface would you be covering with paint? That's the area. So today we're going to talk about two figures, squares and rectangles. When you're finding the area of a square, remember for a square all the sides are the same. So whatever that number is, you just square it and that's the area of that square. Area of a rectangle is very similar. It's just length times width. You'll see that written as LW. Or you could also say that area is base times height. It's the same thing. Those are basically interchangeable. So if you see L times W, it's area of a rectangle. You could also see B times H. That's also area of a rectangle. So go ahead and write this down. We have 11 examples to look at today. They do go fairly quickly, so this shouldn't take a ton of time. Like I said, I'm hoping you'll get your homework done in class so you can enjoy your weekend. So example 1 is a square. Remember, for a square we do side squared. What is the length of the sides of these square what is the side length in this square? 6. So I need to do 6 squared, which is, what's 6 times 6? 36. Good. Now, anytime you're doing an area problem, you need the units. In this case, it's inches. And then we put a little square just to show that that represents area. And then when you read that out loud, you actually say square inches. So this is 36 square inches. It's just a way to label the problem. Oh, that's an S. I thought you were talking about the little squared. Yeah, so the formula for area of a square is side squared. And then in this case, the side is 6. So 6 squared is 36. And then technically you're doing like 6 inches times 6 inches. So it's inches squared. Or square inches is how we say that. Alright, for a rectangle, remember we have length times width. So in this one I need to do 15 times 6. What is 15 times 6? $90, and then 90 square centimeters. Good. And last one, length times width. So we'll have 8 times 10, which is 80, and we're talking about feet. Now, my last class kept wanting to add these. What is it called when you add all the sides together? Perimeter. Perimeter and area, they're very similar, but they're not the same thing. So you should not be adding any of this stuff today or anytime you're finding area. Area is strictly multiplication. What are your questions? Alright, we're going to do a few more examples that are similar. You don't need to draw these though. If you have 3 where you're just finding area, that's fine. But I do want you to do the work with me. So how am I going to find the area of number 4? Do the work with me. So in your notes, you should have 5.3 times 2, and then you should have what it equals. Anyone know what that equals? 10.6 yards with the squared symbol, so square yards, good. Alright, what about number 5? What do I need to do? Four 4.2, you're missing a little something. Yeah, 4.2 squared, or you could just type 4.2 times 4.2 if you want. Does anyone know what that would give you? 17.64. 17.64 square centimeters. Good. And then how do I do number 6? Area equals what? Very good. Anyone have that one? 84 square centimeters. Good. Alright, I'll leave those up there for a second for you to catch up. Then we're going to look at sort of like doing these problems in reverse. I'm going to tell you the area. I'm going to give you one of the dimensions and you're going to find the other one. Questions on these though? These are the pretty straightforward ones. Alright, I'm going to give you a minute to draw these. I do want you to have the first 3 of this type in your notes. And then 10 and 11 you can just do with me, kind of like we just did. And then it'll be homework time already. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just said, aren't you just dividing it? Well, yeah, but we're going to do a little more work than that. Remember, we talked about that area is length times width, or you could think about it as base times height. Here they use B's and H's, so I'm going to think of it as base times height. So, what is the area on number 7?
3.
The area.
Oh,
So I'm going to rewrite this, but I'm going to replace the A with a 12. Do I know the base? No, so I'm going to use a B. Do I know the height? Yes, it's 4. Now you have to solve for B. So basically, what would you multiply 4 by to get 12 as your answer? 3. The way that we do that is to divide both sides by 4. We're just solving this equation for B. So this would give us 3, and then it would have to be inches. What? Because it's multiplying. You could have written it as 4b if you wanted. But I was just going in order of this formula. So like on this one, my area is 140. What 2 things would you have to multiply together to get 140? Well, you'd have to do 20 and h, right?
Yeah.
So 20h. How do I get h by itself? Divide by 20. What is 140 divided by 20?
7.
So the height here is 7 centimeters. Great. And last one on this slide. How would I start? What's the area? So 81 equals what? 9 times H? And then you solve for H. Yeah, H is 9. Good. And we're talking about feet. Can you guys see that behind there? I'll write it up there. That little hand always gets in my way. Alright, what are your questions on this? It's a little harder, but I still definitely don't think this is too much, yeah. What? Yeah, it's not too bad. Nice little Friday lesson. Especially after 8-2. 8-2 is kind of challenging if you ask me, so 8-3 is a nice little break. Are we good? Alright, let's do the last two together. I want you to write the equations and do the work in your notes, but you don't need to draw the pictures. I think you have enough pictures already for today. So, how do I start number 10? What's my equation? Can you guys read what's in that box? Yeah, it's a 296 equals what? 16 times B. So what do I need to divide both sides by? 16. Can anyone tell me what 296 divided by 16 is? 18.5, and I'm talking about meters. Alright, and number 11, last one for the day. How do I start this one? 54 equals 8 times H. Very good. And then I can divide both sides by 8. So what does H have to equal? 6.75. And we're talking about inches. Very good. Alright, I'm going to give you your homework. You have the rest of class to finish it. Like I said, there's really no excuse for not getting it done. You should not end up with homework tonight. But if you do run into any problems that are giving you a hard time, just let me know and we can talk about them.